so excited to be here with Alfred Patali at the beautiful Gotham Bar and Grill. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We have kind of an absurd feast in front of us here. This is from your new bar menu for the most part.
Yes.
It's pretty exciting. So today we're actually not going to be talking about this food. We're going to talk about the cutting boards, because you actually make cutting boards, which is pretty amazing.
I do, Ellie. I do. And you know, we had a lot of fun with the bar menu and designing basically wooden cutting boards to serve the food on. I mean, I do make cutting boards. You know, some are for cutting, you know, and others are for serving. So we have a couple of both here.
Right, and so obviously we all love kind of serving on these beautiful cutting boards, but let's talk about the nitty-gritty of it, because I think that people often feel like whatever thing they have or they've had for 10 years is really great, but there's really circumstances in which you should use different boards. And so what are the different types of boards that people should look at for cutting and then for serving?
Well, for any serious home cook should invest in a good cutting board, for sure. Generally, wooden cutting boards are they're excellent. They're forgiving on your fancy knives, especially if you use Japanese knives. You know, cost is a good indicator of quality, and generally most cutting boards are made out of what's called rock maple. So, you know, very hard, but not so hard that you're going to dull your knives. Don't absorb, you know, oils or food or flavors. So that's generally what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And there are quite a few good companies out there that make them. Now, I want to mention though that I use wood at home, but if I'm making dinner and I'm making garlic paste or chopping onions or filleting a fish, I generally pull out a very high quality plastic cutting board, set it on top of the wood, use it, and then, you know, wash it or stick it in the dishwasher. Because, you know, if you use, or you have a couple of cutting boards, one you basically use for onions and garlic, and the other one's used for fruits and vegetables. I mean, you can do that too, but they will absorb flavors like onions and garlic.
Right, and so when you're looking for a plastic cutting board, what do you tend to look for? You know, because there's those thin sheets that you can put on top of your wood, there's the heavier duty ones. Like, what do you find is the most effective?
I've used both. I like the thicker ones that have a non-slip backing on it, which are hard to find. Otherwise, you need to put some wet paper towels down and put the cutting board on that to keep it from sliding around.
If you buy like a really nice board for serving, you know, you don't want to cut on it because it can get wrecked. I mean, is there a price point or a look at which you should kind of just like leave it for serving and that's it, or you think it adds the character to it?
You know, again, very often the boards that are sold for serving are generally, you know, either really exotic wood, really nice, like olive wood, for instance, is very popular, and aren't really suited for or meant to be chopping, you know, vegetables on.
Yeah.
So, but if you buy one that's sort of in between size, you can use it for both. And you know, there are two sides to the cutting board.
Right.
One side for chopping and the other side for serving.
What about other materials? You know, people now, especially for cheese, you know, we have this amazing cheese board in front of us. People are very fond of slate. Are there other materials that you like for serving, and can any of them double for cutting?
I do. I think it's walnut and marble. And I've seen several boards like this. They're strictly for serving, but kind of not
cutting on marble.
Kind of the best of both worlds. A beautiful contrast between the two. Great for cheese. Yes, I think slate, granite. It's just, you know, how thick and whether it's practical and if you have room to store it. But
right. And is there a fear? You know, we talk about cutting, you know, strong flavors on a wooden board. Is there ever that fear if you are putting like pickles and things of that nature straight on the board? You know, should you think through that?
No, you know, unless you're doing it, you know, once a week, twice a week, I wouldn't be concerned. You know, a good way to clean your cutting board.
I was just gonna say, the cleaning is like the next piece of it.
You know, I mean, certainly you don't put it in the dishwasher. You want to wash it. I like to add some put coarse salt down on the board and then scrub it with a sponge and a little bit of soap, and that really does an excellent job cleaning it.
And explain why people shouldn't put it in the dishwasher, because I think that's something that people hear you say and they're going to go, yeah, but I like putting it in my dishwasher.
Well, you can't put a wooden cutting board in the dishwasher, you'll ruin it. You can't soak the wood. The wood will get wet. It'll expand, and when it dries, it'll contract, and the board will split.
And so for people who are like fearful of it being clean, when you think about putting that salt on it, scrubbing it, you feel like it's clean enough, like don't soak it.
I mean, the last thing, you could wipe it with a little white vinegar or something like that, and that will be all you need.
Can a cutting board really serve as a great plate? Pizza's a great idea because obviously you can cut it on the cutting board. Are there other things that you think really, like dishes that we tend not to think of that lend well to being on a cutting board?
Yeah, steak, meat, is excellent on a cutting board, provided you have the little groove around the edge to catch any of the juices.
Thank you so much for teaching us about these cutting boards, the beautiful ones that you have here at Gotham Bar and Grill, at the bar, if anyone wants to come check out the bar menu or use your advice at home. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.